All right. So straight from the beginning, from the very start of everything, let's discuss the wipe situation here. And we're going to start out with Xylo's post March 12th at 1:04 a.m. my time, I guess. Hi all, adding a few important notes. While a partial wipe is always possible, if we were to encounter some catastrophic issue, we do not currently expect to wipe. However, in the event that it does appear necessary, I want to assure you that your hard-earned Alpha UEC and reputation would remain intact. The only items that would be affected are the ones obtained through in-game purchases or looting. Fortunately, I have some good news to share as well. Even though ships purchased in-game would be wiped, our system would still retain necessary information to allow us to remember them and restore them to you in a future update. I'd like to reiterate that the execution of a partial wipe is not currently expected. If that ever changes, we'll promptly update you and keep you informed. Wrong on all accounts here, obviously. And, like, he protects himself by saying we don't currently expect it. Partial wipes are always possible, right? And it's just becoming hard to trust some of these things, right? And then only 2 days ago, we get this under the roadmap roundup post, which I didn't even see yesterday, so we're going to have to look at that today as well. I've been persistent in my efforts to track down information related to this matter, even if it means I've been a bit of a pest internally. While I don't have an update for you right now, our team is keeping a close eye on any new developments to ensure we will keep you all promptly informed. There is absolutely no way that he doesn't know that there's a wipe at this point. 2 days ago, and now you know? It's kind of weird, but I'm just trying to figure out what the goal is here. I'm at this point convinced that the community team's goal is a single one, and that is to try and keep people playing and happy as much as possible, and trying to make things seem not as bad as they actually are. And I'm starting to lose trust. There was a comment on the 24th as well. I mean, it's all the same basically at this point, right? So that's a little bit of history here, but I will not trust a comment about anything. And I think a lot of you guys did on these. I didn't ever trust. I didn't play 318. I barely played 318 because I knew this stuff would happen. The moment you look at 40,000 errors and people's accounts just being completely corrupted and wiped, a lot of people's accounts, there was something majorly wrong. And the only way to fix a majorly wrong thing is to turn it off and turn it on again, right? Or that's like one of the things that you try. I believe I have the bearded CIG one. Is this about 40,000 errors? I have it right here, okay? So then we get the post from Xylo saying that there is going to be a wipe. We want to provide a quick update on what to expect in the upcoming releases. Our initial goal was to avoid the need to wipe the database for the upcoming point patches. So it was your goal, but at the time, it wasn't a goal, what he said. He said it would not happen. And that keeps people in 318, that keeps people playing, that keeps people engaging. And honestly, it's good for their information gathering. So it's like, are you lying so we gather more information? Are you lying so we get more money? Are you lying at all? It's impossible to tell. But I have lost faith in their communication. And I feel like I lost faith in their communication a long time ago. I feel like this is not a good thing for a lot of the new people who came into Star Citizen. There were a lot of new people. There were a lot of people excited about 318, whether they were new or returning players. And I think that this is a really, really bad look for the community team. I think it's a really bad look for the game overall. And this was not a good thing. But I think because Xylo acted in the way that he did, and I think because the information was put out in the way that it was, I think they probably gathered the maximum amount of information they needed to resolve this issue for a period of time, hopefully. So I'm not going to take this and go, it's all bad, right? It's only all bad if they didn't do the work to ensure that this doesn't happen again, or that they did build everything back from the ground up or something like that to ensure that this isn't a problem. And I'm going to make a Spectrum post on, I think, what do you go, dev posts or whatever, ask a dev, and people hopefully respond to that. And I'm going to ask about, so what did happen and what are you doing to resolve it? Because we haven't heard much about that, actually. Maybe this 40,000 error, we'll hear something in the next post. However, due to the current state of Alpha 3.18's database and the numerous hotfixes we've implemented since 3.18 went live, more than 50, we've concluded that a couple of full wipes, Alpha UEC items, and reputation will be necessary to further improve and stabilize the service. For those interested in what's going on under the hood, alongside the myriad of changes that shook up our database, we uncovered an issue with the identity service related to player IDs, which was revealed through the 40,014 error that some of you may have been encountering. While we've resolved this issue and many others like it, we still require a full wipe to get all our cogwheels back into the right place. For both Alpha 3.18.1 and 3.18.2, we will perform those wipes alongside a hearty list of improvements and optimizations, which will hopefully make your gaming experience much smoother. Okay. That kind of makes me not want to make the post, but that doesn't change that we had 19,000 errors. That doesn't change that we had 30,000 errors. And that doesn't change that we had, 60,000 errors when people were trying to get into servers and it was saying servers were full, things like that, right? There was a lot of weirdness going on, and it was all related to concurrency. So I still think I'm going to make the same post asking more about those and how we're hopefully not going to experience those in a 3.19, a 3.20, and a 4.0. Now let's move on to the next post. This is from Bearded CIG, and this is about 40,014 for days. You've only logged in one time. Hopefully this gives a little bit more insight to people on how this works. He works in the back end team. I don't know what they're called. Hello. For anyone that might not have heard from me before, part of what I do is keep track of error rates that players are running into and making sure that the issues are being looked at. Errors like this show up on graphs that I look at on a daily, sometimes hourly basis, and I call attention to anything that needs to be looked at. Oftentimes with errors, there are multiple issues that can cause the same error number to appear. Thus far, there have been multiple fixes for the issues causing the 40,014 errors. Some of them allowed some accounts to be able to play the game while others still can't. It's frustrating to me to see players that aren't able to play the game. However, with development for new and complex features, things often get worse before they get better, with the end result being a better overall experience once the problems have been ironed out. Issues for 3.18 are still being worked on, including the 40,014 error, and we're continuing to find improvements and fixes that we can make. Some of these aren't able to be hotfixed and need a proper full build to be released. Interesting. And I think that's what the 3.18.1 is, hopefully. Hopefully he doesn't mean a full, we need a get out of the 3.18 branch to fix that. I don't think so. So that's a little bit more insight. And then lastly, 3.18.2 comes with optimizations to entity management to help improve performance on the client and server. With these optimizations, we wanted to open up a thread to discuss about clutter density around the PU. So I'm going to link this thread to you guys, and this is something that I think that they really need to hear from the community about. The idea of that there is a lot of clutter, there's a lot of density problems in the PU, and they should hear your feedback about it. This only has 57 upvotes and not a lot of reactions or anything, and only 123 replies, when this is probably one of the single most important posts that have been made in the entire 3.18 cycle. So we should probably respond here as well. All right. So with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and log into my account. But before, let's talk a little bit more about the wipe. I don't think that they're doing this for any malicious reasons. They absolutely, it is 1,000 times bigger win for us to not have a wipe in the 318 experience than for them to have done what they're doing here. This is not a situation that I've seen previously, like the wipe every patch thing. People thought they did that because they want to sell ships. So the whole you can buy ships in game, but you never hold on to them thing. That I don't think is the case here. It is 1 million times a win. If they drop 318, it's not a mess. There's tons of people playing. There's things to progress to. Okay? At this point, I would not be surprised if we come back in 318-2 with larger than 200,000 in our accounts. I don't like it. I think we should start with 10,000, 5,000, 20,000, whatever the minimum amount would be. I think that would be fine. Let people play the game. Let them start from scratch again. And because the game is actually and can be enjoying, right? When you're making progress, it's fun. So this need to give back to after making mistakes needs to go in a different direction. And that's what my first post is going to be about. Okay? At this point with 318, we've had a ton of people excited to join Star Citizen for the first time, that should say. And then come back from an extended break, or regular players ready to jump in to some new features, and everything fell apart. And that's okay. Nobody expected 318 not to be a rocky experience, but I want to address an issue that I think can make the upcoming wipe a little less painful. There is the obvious option to have players start with even more money than 200,000 Alpha UEC so they can purchase the ships they lost in the wipe for 318. Then what motivation would there be to play 318-2? There were 3 ships, possibly 4, depending on how you look at things, being held back for a major release like 319. The Corsair, the Cutter, the C8R. There was a lot of drama around the subject holding these back, and at this point, it has been well over 100 days since these ships were made viable in-game, but they're not available for in-game purchase. I think it's much bigger win for the team to give something for the players to work towards, like earning these new really cool ships, than giving some money back so they can buy the ones they already had. What about the 4th ship, the Vulture? There are a lot of problems with players trying to work together, and bugs related to the cargo refactor are preventing that from making not stolen cargo seem stolen. If the Vulture is available in-game, one account can purchase them in-game, and that issue is resolved for now. All this considering it's millions of credits people were working towards to buy a ship like the Reclaimer. The Vulture should be available to players who want to try the new hull stripping mechanic. There you go. That's my feeling on everything. And yeah, hopefully this doesn't happen again. I mean, that's my biggest concern is does something positive come out of this? Does them taking everything that was broken, fixing it, solidify the foundation, or are we still on a foundation of quicksand? You know, that's what we need to know, I think. All right, start out, I'm content with everything that has happened up to this point. Issues happen. What I think would be great to know a little bit more on is what happened with 318? What did you do to fix it? Was it more of a band-aid or a full rework? And should we expect a continued rocky experience from now through the server meshing update? Right, just a simple thing there. And then in general, I asked, at this point with 318, we've had a ton of people excited to join Star Citizen for the first time, that should say. And then